Hey folks, Mark Tindall, Blue River Vineyard here. It's good to be with you again for week 5 of our Leap of Faith journey together. I hope you're enjoying this. I hope you'll come over to Blue River Vineyard sometime. We'd love to have you join us. A lot of the people in your group go there, and I'm sure they'd help you find us and help you know the times and everything. We're working on these exercises together, reading scripture a little bit more than we used to, or praying big prayers for ourselves, for the church, for 5 people in our life who need to connect with God in some significant way. And we're fasting together. I hope you're talking about that as a group. Talk to each other. How's that going? What are you noticing? Is it hard? Did you have to push restart? Did you do it, then stop? Did you not start at all? You can still get started with this. Please try this. It's really good. I'm finding that as I am saying no to certain meals in my week, and saying no to Facebook, I'm leaving some room for some other things to happen. It's a pretty interesting thing that's going on in my life. I hope you're finding some things that are going on in your life too, and I do feel like the Lord's speaking to me. And anyway, I hope you're having a good experience too. Keep praying. Let's push into this together. We're talking about Hebrews 11, and we're talking specifically about verses 23 to 29, all about the book of the guy, Moses. Moses, who's like one of the stars of the Old Testament. He's featured in so much. In my Bible, I counted up 140 pages are devoted to this guy and to the work that God gave him to do. So that's sort of surprising to me. Here's a guy who's born under a death sentence. The Israelites had grown in the land of Egypt so much to the point that the Pharaoh was worried that they were going to dominate, maybe even like ally themselves with another nation and defeat the Egyptians. And so the Pharaoh put out an evil law. The law was this: when a boy was born, the midwives who helped moms give birth were to kill the little boy. It's brutal to take little babies and kill them before they have any chance to live. And yet that was the law for all the boys that were born to the Jewish people in the land of Egypt. Well, even though that was the law, and even though that Pharaoh had a lot of power, there were some women who had a lot of faith, including Moses' mother, including Moses' sister, including these midwives who disobeyed the law and let Moses live, and others too. And this guy ended up having an incredible impact on world history. And Moses led the people of Israel out of Egypt as an adult. But along the way were these faith moments. These moments when somebody said, you know what, even though that's what I'm afraid of, even though that's what's legal, I'm going to do this. And so let me ask you this question. When we talk about faith, we talk about that thing that pleases God, where you take God at His word, where you do what God says, where you just trust Him like somebody who's trustworthy. A lot of times when we go to trust God, we have to overcome some fear. So what is the relationship between fear and faith? You might want to talk about that a little bit. Let me give you another thing here. It says that Moses persevered because he saw the one who was invisible. Who's that one? I think it's pretty obvious that it's God, but what is it like to say, I'm going to just stick with this for the long term, because I can see an invisible one leading me on. There's something bigger than what I see that I need to pay attention to, and it calls me to be faithful for the long term. Here's another thing. You might want to discuss, when you're thinking about faith, those times in your life when you're called to launch something. I mean, Moses is a great example of this. He's called to pull into existence a huge escape from Egypt by this nation of slaves. It's an amazing thing he's called to do, but God helps him, and he cooperates with God, and it ends up happening. Here's another thing to discuss. It says in Hebrews that Moses chose faith over the treasures of Egypt. And it's interesting to me how often our faith requires us to make some kind of financial investment. Like our money shows us what we really believe in. where we spend our money, how we invest. You know, it just shows us what's important to us. Jesus said that where your money is, your heart will be also. And where your treasure is, your heart will be also. And it just, the idea is this: how you spend your money shows what's really most important to you. And so I'll just ask you this. Does your bank account, does your Quicken statement say anything to you about what you actually genuinely believe is most important? Okay, there's the thing to discuss. And also, I'll just say this. You know, Moses, it says, denied the fleeting pleasures of sin in order to trust God. And so, how about you? That's such an interesting thought. There and several other places in the Bible, it says that sin is pleasurable, but that there's something fleeting about it, something insufficient about it, something less than about choosing sin rather than faithfulness. And so how does this show up in your life? I'm wondering if maybe in your group you might have a perfectly sinless group, but probably not, right? Maybe you could talk about that. Maybe you could be real about that for a minute. And then lastly, I'll just say this. When have you been called to persevere because of the one who is invisible calling you on? Funny thing about persevering is a lot of times nobody notices. They might notice something at the very beginning of your faith journey that really marks you out, like, today I'm getting baptized. But persevering is sometimes just a silent yes to the one that you said yes to years ago, a silent agreement that the one who called you is faithful and that you're going to be faithful to him. And you're going to do it with a great attitude, and that attitude and those actions are called faith. So I'll be back with you next time, and we'll talk again. This is great. Talk with each other, encourage each other. Let's together follow God. It's worth it in the end.